Okay, folks, here's what we're going to build next. This is just a picnic table. It's made out of dimensional lumber. That is the same sort of stuff you'd pick up at Lowe's or Home Depot or wherever you pick it up in Australia or Malta. And it uses two types, 2x4s and 2x6s. And all of these angles here, they're cut at 30 degrees, except for the bottom here, which has to lay flat on the ground, but we'll address that separately. If your teacher gave you the link, you have some basic dimensions here as well as some different views that can be helpful. The top and specific directions on how to cut things. So let's go ahead and get started. Just like you would before, go to your classes, go to your teacher's course, and choose the picnic table and copy and tinker it. And I have it set up so that it just goes ahead and opens up a blank build plate or work plate. And then you want to go up and change it from copy of picnic table to, I don't know, just last name. Whatever your teacher asks you to do. It'll just make your file unique and easier for everybody to work on. So I'm going to go ahead and make a 2x4 and a 2x6 because that is the dimensional lumber that's very common, same stuff you'd pick up at Home Depot, that is used to make our picnic table. Now to set up my work plane, I'm going to come down here and edit the grid because right now everything's in millimeters. I want to change it to inches. Now when I do that, it tells me our work plane or printer bed is about 8 inches by 8 inches. But that's just fine because at the very end, once you have your picnic table built, you can scale it up or down to fit whatever 3D printer you're using should you decide to 3D print it. So I'll go ahead and update that grid. And I'm going to come back and look at our plans. And here we have, or here we can see from the cut list, that the longest piece over here is 6 feet long. And that's actually kind of nice because 6 feet is 72 inches, and if I take and divide all of these measurements by 12, 72 inches or 6 feet becomes 6 inches, which fits on our work plane. So let's go ahead and make a 2x6. Now 2x6 is not actually 6 inches wide and 2 inches thick. Once upon a time they were. But as lumber prices increased, they shaved them down a little bit. So now the standard is that a 2x6 is actually 5.5 inches wide and 1.5 inches thick. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll show you how to do this. So there's a box, and I'm going to go ahead and click here and make this dimension 6, and that's 6 inches. Now we have to do a little bit of math here to determine the width and the thickness of our lumber. Now, because we divided 6 feet by 12 and got 6, we're going to do the same thing here. So for the width, I'm going to type in 5.5 and divide it by 12. And that'll tell me how many inches it is here. So it's 0.458. That's the width. So I'll click right here. Click here and type in 0.458. And we're going to do the same thing for the thickness. So I'll come back into my calculator and type in 1.5 inches and divide it again by 12. And that gives us 1/8 of an inch, or 0.125. So I'll click right up here and type in 0.125. And there we have it, a 6 foot long 2x6. So I'm just going to park it right up here. And at the same time, I'm going to make a 2x4. So same process, but I don't need to do all that math again. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy it, paste it. I'll bring it down here. I will type in F for fit so you can see it a little bit better. And now I need to change the thickness. So let's come into our calculator here, and the width of a 2x4 is actually 3.5 inches or 3.5 inches. I'll divide that by 12. and I get 0.291. So I'll click right here and type in 0.291, and so that I can differentiate them easily, I'll go ahead and just make it green. So now I have a 2x4 and a 2x6, and those are the sizes of lumber that I need for making this project, that I can drag and drop into my project for all the different pieces of lumber that I need for the picnic table. So I'm going to go ahead and take this, I'm going to copy, I'm going to paste it, and then I'm just going to use my arrow keys to just move that over towards the middle of the build plate. Now here's something new, and that is the copy and duplicate button. Now I did a copy paste over here just like you would in a Word document or lots of 3D modeling programs. You could copy the geometry and paste it, but this is different. So when I have this 2x4 selected, I'll go ahead and click copy and duplicate, and then I'm going to use my arrow key to move that one out. Now I'm going to zoom in here because I gotta get it so that it's about an 1/8 inch apart. And I know it's an 1/8 inch apart because down here my snap grid is set to 1/8 inch. If I wanted a 1/4 inch apart, I would have set it to that. Now, I just messed up. So I'm going to do that again, because if I click copy and duplicate again, it copies and duplicates this one, and that's not what I wanted to show you. See, I click down here, and the thing is you cannot click when you do this. So let's just do that again. I'm showing you my mistakes and all, people. So copy and duplicate, move it over, get it where you want it, and then just come up here, and this is where you click, or Control D, 1, 2. And so there, I now have 4 2x6s that are spaced 1/8 inch apart and are 6 feet long. That is the top of our picnic table. So I'm going to grab it all here. I'm going to group them together, and then I'm going to change the color to, let's kind of make it a nice wood color. So now that we have our 2x4 created, I'm just going to go ahead and make a lumber stack here. Click on this, and then go Command D for duplicate and repeat. Move it up like that, and then put some 2x4s like this. Same thing here. Command D, pull it up. Doesn't matter how much. It's okay if they float in the air. And add some more. So now I've got some lumber there. So what I want to do now is make those 3 supports. Now my picnic table is not exactly on the corner of the grid here. See how it's not? And so I can kind of move it around like that, but that's sort of hard to do. So what I'm instead going to do is use the ruler and just put it right there on that vertex. Now my approach is going to be to, at least for now, build this upside down. So when we're looking at the tabletop here, the top of it is actually laying on the work plane. So if I want to grab one of these and bring it across, if I drop it, you see it goes all the way down to the blue work plane. So there's a different way that you can do this precisely. And so what I'm going to do, and just kind of follow along with me here for a second, is I'm going to put the work plane right there, right on the bottom of the picnic table. Now I've still got this top 2x4 selected, and I'm going to cut it by going Command or Control X. So now it's in my computer's memory. Then when I go Command or Control V, there it is, it's right over there. Grab it, pull it across, and you can see that it's now where it needs to be. So let's just go ahead and do a little bit of rotating here. Let's see, there we go. Click here, and it's kind of long, so I'll just instead click on the 0 there and type in 90 degrees. And then I need to turn it cattywampus, and you're going to have to scroll around to find these arrows. There we go. There's 90 degrees there, but now that 2x4 is inside of that, so I'll just go ahead and pull it up, although I don't need to do that. But now when I drop it, there we go. It's right where I want it to be. So our 2x4 is too long, isn't it? By the way, I'm just going to go ahead and make it yellow right now so I can differentiate it between this 2x4 and all the ones that are in my lumber stack. And so what I want to do is make it as close as I can, and we're not building nuclear weapons here. I mean, you just go ahead and get it pretty close, because in real life you'd be using power tools and it doesn't have to be perfect, but let's try to get it as close as we can, okay? So this one right here is, let's see, there we go. It's 6.011 long, and so when I click on this and click on the corner, I can see that the picnic tabletop is 2.459 inches long. And so when I come back to this and click on one of these corners right here, I'm going to type in 2.459, hit enter, and now it's the length that I want it to be. So let's see, let's come in here and let's try to get it as close as we can. Looks like it's just a touch long, so let's try nudging it over, but it's just a little bit too long, so I'll change my grid. Well, I've already got a 1/64 of an inch. So I'm just going to grab on it and just pull it. I have to orbit around here. That's not right. So I'll use my arrow key to just nudge it over like that. Let's see. There we go. So let's go ahead and cut those 30-degree angles on those table supports. And so I'm going to go ahead and bring a work plane out to the, let's see here, right to there, and then I'm going to bring a box out that is a hole, and let's see, you can kind of see the shadows that are appearing there. So let's see, where's my arrows to rotate this? There they are right there. So I'm going to rotate this to 30 degrees. There we go. And now I'm going to nudge it up, and I'm watching the shadows. So I'm looking at this area right in here. And that looks like a good intersection. But my box isn't quite long enough. Or is it? No, that's going to be just fine. So I will then click outside so nothing's selected. I'm going to click on my hole. I'm going to hold down my shift key and select my table support, and I'm going to group them together, and it made the cut. So now I'm going to do the same thing here over on the other side. Put my work plane right on the edge of the picnic table. I'm going to pull a box out like so, come back a little bit, rotate it 30 degrees. See, it's kind of hard to see the 30. Nope, I have to undo it there. Now I'll rotate it. Click up here, just type in 30. Oh, I needed to type in -30, didn't I? So I'll add a minus. And there we go. So that's going to take a chunk out of my picnic table, so I'm just going to, again, nudge it with my arrow keys. How's that look? Looking at the shadows, right? So if you need to make your box bigger, you can do that. That is the whole box. And so now with that selected, hold down my shift key and group them together after selecting the table support. And there's our table support. That looks pretty good. Might not be exactly perfect, but that's fine. So I'm just going to reset my work plane. Click on this. Go Command D and nudge it over. And it doesn't have to be exactly in the center, because after all, if you're doing this in real life with a circular saw, might not be. So again, I'm going to go Command D to make another duplicate. Obviously I wasn't in the center, or else it would have. There we go. How's that look? Yeah, it looks pretty good. So let's go to our top view. And let's go ahead and actually I'm going to switch it to, there we go. And we can adjust this later on if we need to, but that's looking pretty good. So the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and cut the table legs. And they have a 30-degree cut on both ends, but I'm not really quite sure how long they're supposed to be because they're trapezoids and I'd have to do the trig, and you haven't taken trig yet, so let's just go ahead and let Tinkercad figure that out for us. So I'm going to come into here. I am going to grab a 2x6 from my lumber pile, and I need to turn it up 90 degrees, and then let's see, it's obviously too long, so let's just go ahead and shorten it down some. It's better to have it be too long than too short. So I'm going to bring it up here, and then let's see, just type in F for fit. I'm going to put a work plane on this end, and then I'm going to bring a box out like so, and let's see, I'm going to go ahead and move it in like this. Let's see, let's come around the other side here. There we go. And so let's pull the box down. Let's go ahead and rotate it 30 degrees. Okay, that looks good. And we don't have to be super precise here, but you can tell from the shadow that I'm going to cut a chunk of this off and that it will be at a 30-degree angle. So I've got the box selected. I'll hold up my shift key and select the 2x6, group them together, and just like that. So let's see, let's get it moved over here closer to our work area. And so now I need to take and rotate this 30 degrees. There we go. And so now how am I going to get that down the corner? I mean, when I move it like that, that looks pretty good, doesn't it? But when I orbit around, well, I'm not even close, am I? So I'm going to use the same technique as before. I'm going to go Command or Control X to copy it. I'm going to grab my work plane and put it on this face right here. And now I'm going to paste it. And there it is there. So it looks like I need to orbit it around 180 degrees. No, 125 I think. Oh, nope, that's not right. So let's come back here again. Let's orbit this around, or rotate it rather. That looks good. D for drop. And I'll move it over like so. So I'll take and put a work plane again right on here. Take this, I'm going to cut it and then paste it, and then I'm just going to nudge it over to where I want it to be. I'll go ahead, or let's see here, and I'm going to click on the home button because my zooming is all messed up. There we go. And put it about there. So how do I do that again quickly? Well, I'm just going to go ahead and click on this, go Command D to make a duplicate, and I'll just kind of nudge it out here just a little bit like so. Hold down my Shift key so that it stays on the bottom of the picnic tabletop. And then I'm going to click on this new button up here, Mirror. You just type in M for a keyboard shortcut. And I've got arrows here, and that's the one I want. So let's see, I'll just go ahead and hold down my Shift key and drag this across. Okay, so that looks pretty good, and what I want to do is just quickly move or duplicate these and move them over to the other side. So I will hold down my Shift key and select both of the red table legs, go Command D to duplicate. Again, if you want to click this little icon button up here, you can do that. And then I'm going to hold down my Shift key so they don't slide left to right while I'm moving them across the bottom of the table. So I'll pull them over like that, get them nice and close, and then looking at it, and notice I have my view set here so that I'm looking straight at it, and I'll just use my arrow keys to nudge them over till they touch, and there we go. Now things probably look just a little bit different, and that's because I've come back to correct just a little mistake that I'd made before, and I don't like making mistakes, they bug me. So let's go ahead and take a look at cutting the legs off to length, because we intentionally made them too long. But we're going to let Tinkercad do all the heavy lifting here. So when we look at the plans for the picnic table, we can see from the bottom of the legs to the top of the table is 2 feet 6 inches or 30 inches. So we'll jump back into here. We will just go ahead and bring a cutting box out, and now let's do the math. So 30 inches divided by 12 is 2.5 inches. So I'm going to take this box and I'm going to pull it up, click inside here, 2.5, hit enter, and now I'm going to hold down my Shift key and make the box ginormous, drag it across so that all of the legs are shaded, and then go ahead and select, holding down my Shift key, I've got the whole selected, which is actually in the shape of a box. I'll click on this leg, this leg, this leg, and this leg. Let's see, I only got 3 shapes. I'm going to have to come around here. Actually, I'm going to have to orbit up a little bit. There we go. So I'll click outside, do that one more time. The box, this leg, this leg, this leg, and this leg. I've now got 5 shapes selected, and we'll go ahead and group them together, and just that easy, our legs are cut off perfectly. Next thing we're going to do is go ahead and place and cut the seat supports, and I think we'll put the boards on for the seat at the same time as well, because those will help us make this 30-degree cut right here. And I'm not going to take any specific measurements. It looks like it's about in the middle, and that'll be close enough for what we're doing here. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a 2x6 here, and let's see, just going to kind of move it up here so that I can see the rotation arrows. So here I'm going to rotate it around 90 degrees, and then I need to flip it up. Where'd that arrow go? There we go, it's right over here. So pull up here, come around, there we go, 90 degrees, and now I'm going to cut it. I'm going to put my work plane right on that surface there. I'm going to paste it. Oh, rotate it on me. So let's just go ahead and rotate it around again. Click inside here, enter 90, and then it's probably floating. Yeah, appears to be. So type in D for drop, and it's now sitting on the legs. Let's come around here to our right view, and I'm just going to place it. I'll place it about there. That looks pretty good. And then we'll just move it down here again. Hold down your Shift key. Oh, it's constrained to that work plane. So let's take our work plane and reset it here. And now hold down my Shift key and grab my duplicate and pull it across so it's at the same height I'll come around to this side and put a work plane on the face of these legs. I'll type in D for drop. Let me orbit it here so you can see what happens. See, it just dropped right on top of the legs. And then I'll sort of center up this one as well. Again, hold down your shift key so it doesn't slide up and down. You don't have your shift key held down, so you can do all that, and you don't want that. You just want to move it left to right. So again, the seat supports are too long, and we can lengthen them if we need to. Now, right now my mouse is not responding to orbiting very well, and that's because there's a camera. Think of your eyeballs as a camera, and what happens is when we zoom in and out a whole bunch, things get all goofy. So just click the home button up here, and now I can zoom around by holding down my orbit around by holding down my mouse button, and I'm in good shape. Well, let's do this. It's being just a little bit wonky here. Let's go ahead now and turn our picnic table right side up. So I'm going to just grab everything here. Oh, I don't want to grab those 2x4s though. Just going to make sure that I've got a little bit of everything inside my selection box. Click on it. Rotate it around 180 degrees. I'm going to reset my work plane. And there, that makes it a little bit easier. So let's go ahead and put a work plane right on top of the seat supports, like this. And I'm going to grab a 2x4, I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to paste it. So it's sitting right on there where I want it. I'm going to take another one, cut it. Or actually, I don't need to do that. Well, I will. I'll just go ahead and paste it, and then slide it over like this. And then I'm going to take the shift select this, choose to duplicate it, zoom out a little bit, orbit around, hold down my shift key, and just drag those across till they're about in the right spot. I might nudge them over just a little bit so they look about the same, and they should be lined up on the both ends. Yeah, they are. See how they're flush? And that's because these are set to the top here, but if yours overhang a little bit, that's just fine. Next, I'm going to cut off the ends for my seat supports at a 30-degree angle. I think I'm going to take my pile of lumber right here and just go ahead and hide it for now, so give us a little bit better visibility. So I'm going to go to the straight left view here. I'm going to bring a work plane and put it on the end of the seat support. I'll zoom in here so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to bring a box out and just kind of line it up like so. And then I need to stretch it out. So let's see, I'm just going to grab this top button right here and pull it so that it goes all the way through. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to duplicate that box, hold down my shift key, and pull it over here. Just kind of get it close. And I'll take this one and rotate it 30 degrees this way. There we go. Nudge it down, nudge it across. Oop, see, I'm missing a piece right up here. So let's go ahead and hold down our shift key and expand the size of the box. And that looks pretty good. Then I'll come into this one over here. Do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead and make it bigger right now. Rotation. And then let's bring it down. Let's rotate it. There we go. And then we're going to nudge it over a little bit, like so. And it looks like that one's good. Let's just kind of orbit around here and make sure that everything is shaded or dark. And it looks like it. So I'll select the box Holding down my shift key, the two seat supports and this box here, group them together, and we have our 30-degree cut. So I'm all done with my picnic table already, and as I just pointed out, I made the mistake of putting 2x4s for the seat instead of 2x6s. And so I'm just going to go ahead and fix it, and if you put 2x4s, or you probably won't need to because you followed directions, took my hint, and used 2x6s, which is fine. Just going to go ahead and delete these. And then, just as I did before, I'm going to put a work plane right there. I'm going to select a 2x6, I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to paste it so it's on the plane and get in position. Yeah, that looks fine. So then I'm going to take this and duplicate it and then nudge it out like so. Then I'm going to take this one, duplicate it, hold down my shift key, drag it across, and then nudge it into position. Now these are floating out in the air. However, remember I grouped this together, so if I double click on this, I can reopen my group. There we go, come around to the left there, select this cube, or it's not a cube, but anyways, this hole, and select this hole, and then I should be able to select the two sides, this and this, and group them together, and that looks a whole bunch better to me. Now I'm not, you'll see the 2x4s in the follow-up videos because I'm not going to redo all of those, but this is how I went back and fixed my mistake. The last thing we're going to do is put in these two diagonal braces, and we're just going to go ahead and build them in place. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to just take a 2x4 here and move another one over so I have two of them, and I'm going to grab my lumber pile and hide it just for visibility purposes. Let's see, I'm going to take those legs and hide them, and then the tabletop and those seat 2x4s and hide them. I might as well hide these two as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and build these in place. Let's go ahead and, actually I'm just going to go ahead and cut that, and then I'm going to go to this view right here, and again it helps if you have the orthographic view turned on, although you don't really have to, but I think it helps. So now I'm going to paste my 2x4. Go ahead and raise it up. I need to rotate it around. I'll just type in 90 degrees so it's flat like that. And now it's just a matter of kind of eyeballing it into place. Let's go back to our orthographic view here. Oh, I did have it. I just need to look at get that face set up there. Yeah. So we'll go ahead and move it up some, like so. And this piece could probably be a little bit thicker, but that's okay. This is going to work for us. So now, do I have that centered? Nope. So let's go ahead and hold down our shift key and drag it across so that it's centered like so. Okay, that looks good. Let's go ahead and try this, see if this saves us a little bit of time. I'm going to select this piece here. I'm going to duplicate it. So there's now a green 2x4 inside of the green 2x4. I'm going to click on mirror. And it's kind of hard to see it, but you've got a double arrow right there. I'll click on that. Go back to my front view here. And hold down my shift key and see how close it is. Oh, that works out real good. Okay, so now I need to do some cutting, don't I? So this part right here is new, what I'm going to do. And I'm going to repeat this several times, but I'm going to go ahead and select this seat brace, and I'm going to duplicate it. So now I've got one seat brace inside the other seat brace, if you will. I'm not really quite sure how to describe it, but they're both identically positioned. Now, I'm just going to click on this. Remember I said there were two, but only one is showing. So I'm going to take and hide one of them. Now, it doesn't look like anything happened, but I just hid one of the seat braces. And so now I'm going to take this seat brace here, the second one, and I'm going to make it a hole. Okay? Then I'm going to take and put a work plane right here. I am going to bring a box out because I want to cut the whole thing off. So I'll just pull that out like that. See what I got going there? Okay, so that's that part. Next I'm going to take and do the same thing up here. I'm going to take this piece here. I am going to duplicate it. I'm going to take one of the two duplicates. See up here, just one shape. And I'm going to hide it. And then I'm going to select the second one and make it a hole. And it looks like since this was a duplicate over here, it did the same thing for us. Which is, we haven't really talked about that, but that'll happen depending upon how closely you followed what I did. Again, there's a zillion ways to make this picnic table, and they're all good as long as you're happy with what you got. So just do the same thing down here. I'll make that huge. And let's see, I'm going to have to handle these ends here separately because it'll affect, well, actually I don't. Let's go ahead and do some cutting. So I'm going to select all of these, everything that I can see here, and I'm going to group it together. Now remember, we still have, we've still got our seat braces in this middle brace up here that are, they're still there, but they're just hidden. So let's see here. Let's put a work plane right on that. Let's bring a cutting box out like so. Take that and that. Group them together, and then we'll do the same thing over here. Oh, gotta put my work plane on first. There we go. I'm gonna delete that one, bring out another one like so. Select that, group it together, and we got a little notch right there that we can finish up. So I'll put one right there. I'll bring a box into here, and this time I need to make the box just a whole bunch smaller, don't I? So bring it right to about there. Click on this and group it together. And now here's where the fun part is. Let's unhide everything. And there's our picnic table. Finally, to finish it all up, this area right in here, I'm just going to nudge these up like so. I think that looks a little bit better, and it'll probably be how I do it in real life. You can go through and color your whole picnic table so that it looks like a color of the rainbow, or you can just come up and do that for it. If you want to rescale it, just grab the whole thing, group it together, and then hold down your shift key, and you can scale it up or down to fit your 3D printer bed. If you want to 3D print it, you're going to want to disassemble it. So ungroup it, and then you can grab pieces like this and the tabletop, just however you're set up for, the leg assemblies and the braces. Just go ahead and break those apart. If you don't want to break apart your whole model, then go ahead, grab it, copy everything, and paste it. Take one apart, and so that you have the other, or you can duplicate the file, of course. So I hope you enjoyed this. Mistakes at all? If you have any questions, be sure to let me know.